Holy Satan, Batman! It's an unexpected saga at the Veterans Benefits Administration facility. Here, a supervisor has pulled the plug on a "Not Today, Satan, Not Today" sign after a complaint. The twist? An Air Force veteran, aligned with non-theistic teachings, argues the desk display fuels existing hostilities. Military Religious Freedom Foundation then enters the ring, labeling it a grotesque Christian supremacist sign. Attorney Michael Weinstein, no stranger to religious disputes, offers insights. Join us as we dissect the clash of personal expression, religious symbols, and workplace dynamics. A tale where even Satan gets handed a pink slip. This story is from the Christian Post by John Brown from the 24th of January, 2024.
This one is a no-brainer for those with brains. It's simple. Keep your religious beliefs to yourself, especially in a government facility. I have worked for the VA in the past. I am a veteran, Air Force veteran, just like the person in this article. And I'm a government employee right now. An employee whose views are my own and don't represent the views of any other entity other than mine. I say that to say that we are trained on a yearly basis about both religious and political beliefs being a no-no in the professional setting. Full stop. This article is from the Christian Post, so of course it's written in such a way that kind of makes a victim out of the woman who's being, who put up the display. But they wouldn't have that same energy had this been me displaying my "not Jesus, not today Jesus" symbol on my, you know what I mean? If I had a sign that said "not today Jesus" on my desk, it would be a different story. And the comments on the article are telling as well. First comment I saw said, "So sad they bent the knee to the state."
They work for the state. They work for the state.
Thank you. It doesn't make sense. And to these people, I say, separation of church and state is a pillar of our democratic republic. I can't even say it because I'm an American, so listen. So it's a pillar of our democratic republic. And I know just from looking at the goings on in the last decade that a large portion of our society doesn't want the America that we were promised and the America that we were taught about in grade school. They want the America of yesteryear. And they'll do the most horrible things imaginable to make it great again. Unfortunately for them, at this very moment, democracy is still intact, luckily, for the most part. And with that being the case, separation of church and state absolutely means don't bring your damn church into a government facility where you're an employee. I will pass it on.
I have to say first that if I'm ever in a situation where I have waiting on someone to help me and they have horns half as cool as yours, I'll go ahead and let somebody else go in front of me so I can time it to get in line with the person with those horns. Having said that, on a more serious note, if this person had a sign saying, "Hail Satan," we worship Satan here, I have to say that it wouldn't have sat very long on that desk. Now, we don't know how long it sat there, but I can assure you there would have been an uproar. I mean, we had a Satan statue story not that long ago where some guy drove multiple states away to go ahead and deface and destroy a Satan statue because, that's a stand for God and all this nonsense. So for me, I see this as virtue signaling. This is an underhanded way. It's another one of those "have a blessed day." It's to try to get an idea and feel you out and make sure that you're part of the clique that I'm with. And that's really what I see here. But yes, this is completely biased. And yes, as adults, this is a simple story. This is a big nothing. But the fact that we have a society, and through things that we've talked about before, Ryan Walters talking about that separation of church and state is a myth. And we talk about these different people passing these bills, trying to legislate their morality, whether it's, death with dignity or whether it's LGBTQ or whatever issue it is, they're trying to legislate their views and morality onto other people. And this is what this is, an example of people being comfortable with that, of feeling like, oh, we're back to the good old days. We can do what we want to, and we can be ourselves. And I think it's a really good reminder to anyone, because I want Christians to be uncomfortable. I'll be honest about them. I want them to sit there and wait, thinking, when's that next shoe going to drop? When is the next issue that I can grab my claim of persecution and wrap it up like a warm blanket and feel persecuted and wrong? Hell, we're doing them a favor, not by actually persecuting them, but just saying, hey, let's all stick with what the law is. But, never let the facts get in the way of a good persecution. Seriously now, come on, you're at work. Kelly?
First off, before we go anywhere, I want to shout out to the MRFF, the Military Religion Freedom Foundation. I'm pretty sure one of our own nonprofits is a member of that organization, Jimmy Jr., and they do some really, really good work. So I just wanted to shout out to them. And then we all read the article. We all saw the photo of the little sign on the desk. And I'm seeing it, it says, "Not today, Satan, not today." And I got this little vision of Satan walking into the office, seeing the sign, snapping his fingers and walking away all dejected. Shit.
I hope it's South Park Satan.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just like, how would a sign like that just keep Satan away anyway? I guess, now we can only sneak back in at night and steal her Post-it notes, I guess. The one thing that really struck me about the story too was this person called in their got called this into the MRFF on their supervisor, who they had already been having trouble with, And I'm thinking, man, this person had a lot of balls to create even more tension and getting her to. One of us mentioned it kind of does sound like a petty thing. I understand the importance of it. But I kind of wonder, was it just, like a petty thing of an employee trying to get back at their supervisor? It kind of sounds like it is, for a good cause, though. So I also kind of like the way the story was written. It's really, really biased without coming right out and being overly biased, but it's so good at like slanting the story in the direction that it slants it into. And the person who wrote it was masterful at that. So I really liked that the response was immediate. The sign was gone, period, boom. We don't have to talk about anything else. It's just gone. And I guess now Satan doesn't have to lurk around in the hallway waiting to come in anymore. Does anybody on the panel, did anybody else on the panel kind of get that vibe that it was a disgruntled employee trying to get back at their boss?
I
Does
do.
everybody think this was a total worthy cause, or was it too small to care about? Phoebe?
I mean, I do, but I don't. Maybe it's because I'm British. But I don't understand the litigation here. I don't understand it. I don't get the litigation. Because litigation in America is expensive. An attorney is expensive. Court cases are expensive. Why has it gone to an attorney when person A sees sign on person B's desk? Person A dislikes sign on person B's desk and makes complaint to person C. Person C says to person B, "Please remove that." Person B removes it. End. Just end. I don't get the rest of it. I don't understand why the MRFF are involved. I don't understand why there's a potential civil rights lawsuit over this. I don't understand why it goes any further than I have conflicting issues and work for the government. You have a government job. I find your sign objectionable because I view it as religious indoctrination and separation of religion and federal government. I have complained. It is gone. This is the most nothing burger of stories that I have ever encountered in all of my years of doing the non-profits. There's nothing here, as far as I can see. The object of complaint has been removed. Any lawsuit is moot because there's nothing offensive anymore.
I don't know how you can say there's nothing here. The amount of persecution on this poor supervisor who had to remove her tiny sign. This is as bad as what happened to Job. Don't you realize that?
Then get out of working for the federal government. Don't work for the federal government if you want to bring religion to work. Don't do it. Go and work for a ministry. Go and save souls of the unwashed. Go to Korea or Africa or Asia or other places where missionary work is still done. Go do that. But don't work for the federal government. Just don't.
I think what we are forgetting is we all interact with Christians. And when you say something about religious freedom to a Christian, you say, hey, this is offensive to me as an atheist. Religious freedom is a thing. Their response is going to be, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about Christianity. I'm talking about my love for Jesus. And then the spiel starts. So we're not talking to people that have a rational response to these things. That's why it's been written about in the Christian Post. And that's why the article is so biased. That's why they represent this person as a victim, because how dare you infringe on her right to practice, even though she doesn't have that right in this setting. But it's Christianity, so special rules.
Absolutely, because it's just Christian supremacy trying to rear its head again. But it's the federal government. I still cannot see how this goes any further. They're both working for the VA. You know the rules for working for the federal government. You've had an employee dispute. It is resolved.
That's one of the things I wonder. Was it not resolved? Was it
this element of it clearly is resolved.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Other elements of it.
Wait. Please hear me out. When the person who had the complaint went to the supervisor's supervisor, what kind of response did they get? Did they get something? Oh, it's just a cute little sign. You shouldn't be upset about it. Go back to your workstation. Because then I can see why they would call somebody in, right?
Yeah, but now the sign is gone. So it's moot. Yep.
But it wouldn't have been gone in that position. They had to call the MR.
But what I'm saying is, this may be me as a European here. Does the Veterans Benefits Administration not have an HR department?
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. What if this person had gone to the HR department and they told them, just go back to your workstation. This isn't something worth complaining about. It's just a cute little sign.
It wouldn't be unprecedented for that to actually happen. And that's the reality here. And I think that for me, that's where the story really resides, because I can assure you that there are people that go to work in a variety of settings, and they have people with crosses and other things and listen to praise music or all these other things that they do. And when you bring that to someone's attention, you get pushback. I've gotten pushback. So with those types of things in mind, yes, I'd have probably went over there and jerked the sign off the desk, thrown it off, stomped on it, and gotten fired. So don't do that, people. But seriously, a lot of times that process fails because there is an expectation that Christianity, it's not some weird thing. It's just what we do. It's our thing. He's just a good old Christian boy, or she's just a good Christian. I'm almost surprised that at the end of the article, we didn't hear that in this time of grief, please leave the family alone so they could grieve privately. I mean, it's almost, that's the way the article was created. Rather annoying and pretentious, but at the end of the day, I want to remind everybody, yes, Satan, today, Satan. Come on in.
This raises an interesting point, though. How religious of a figure is Satan?
To them? Oh, absolutely.
Just in general. How religious of a figure is Satan, and what other figures could fall foul of this? It's a genuine question. Because you could say that having a small Buddha on your desk, even if you're not Buddhist, could be the promotion of Buddhism, even if you don't view it as Buddhism. Mm-hmm. Would I, if I worked for the Veterans Benefits Administration, be required to take my necklace off, even though I'm not a practicing religious Jewish person?
No, you wouldn't have to take it off, but you'd have to keep it hidden underneath your top.
Mm-hmm. But here's the question. But the question that I'm trying to elucidate an answer to here is, what is and what is not classified as a religious icon?
Yeah, you're asking where do we draw the line at? I get it, and I don't know. I mean, Loki's wager, right?
I think it's honestly subjective. It's not like going to be an across the board thing, because I've worked in settings where I'm the only atheist and there's just Christian memorabilia everywhere. There's praise music coming in when you come into work, and I'm just like, well, nobody here knows I'm an atheist, so this is going to be my day. Like, it's subjective. But I went to it's absolutely illegal. Like, they shouldn't do it, but
I went to a physical therapist like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that it's going to vary from person to person. But one reason that I find Satan such a iconic figure is how triggered they get over the concept of Satan. I've seen where people have gotten up and done satanic invocations, and the people in the room are looking up at the sky like they expected lightning to strike. I mean, there are people literally moving away from them. You know, evidently God has bad aim. Well, then again, that might explain Jesus, right? But having said that, sorry.
I feel very European with this story. I feel incredibly European.
Yeah.
We are.
I mean, the whole point, like the whole
very
reason that
litigious
this
in the
story
US.
even exists. I'm sorry, Kelly. The whole
I was just
reason
saying
that the
we
story
are
even
very
exists.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Somebody go.
The reason that the story exists at all is because it's the Christian Post. If this was a news article from NBC, I'd be like, what is this? But coming from the Christian Post, it's just something else for them to whine about. They just want to call attention to it. Look at how we're persecuted. Mm-hmm. Look at it.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Exactly. But we are very litigious in the USA, like you're not in Europe. It is a weird thing.
The thing that amazes me, the litigious nature here, is that you pay your own legal fees. Whereas in Britain, the losing side pays the legal fees. So it's a very expensive endeavor.
You can get that here. You can get a court ruling for the loser to pay your legal fees
only
here
only in certain limited circumstances. In Britain, the blanket rule is loser pays. Whereas in America, it's only in a very limited number of cases that the loser pays. And in most cases, like auto insurance accidents or discrimination cases, it is you pay your own legal fees. And that's what amazes me about the fact that this has gone litigious. I understand that I have a very different European point of view where unions aren't a bad thing and HR departments actually do things and personnel departments actually do things. But I just feel like I'm looking at an alien planet.
Well, the MRFF is a nonprofit, right? So that makes this scenario a little bit different because nobody's paying them. They're doing it. And I don't think when they stepped into it, they ever thought it was going to go to court. I think they expected the resolution that they actually got. And again, I wonder how far the person who made the original complaint had to go up the ladder before they had to call in the MRFF. Because like I said, I could see them going up a couple of steps up and getting no result at all. And then
of course,
feeling
you're not
like
going to get those details from the Christian Post.
Yeah, they had nowhere else to turn but to call in outside help like that. And a lot of times, and this is true of a lot of things litigious type things in America, all you need to do is get a letter from a cease and desist letter from an attorney, and that's usually enough to solve the problem right there. And that's, I don't know why. I don't know why it's done. It just recently happened in my rock collecting world with the guy sending out cease and desist letters. It's just amazing. But yeah, I mean, that's America for you. It's really silly.
It sounds that, from a European point of view, it sounds like the MRFF are taking the place that a trade union should take. It sounds like they've gone to the MRFF because there is no trade union.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, but
pretty
even
much.
in that setting, like a lot of people in the union are also Christians.
I understand that. But I think that's where my disconnect is, because in Europe, particularly the types of jobs they had in Europe and in the UK particularly, the union, you just go to the union and you have a dispute and the union represent you, not them as the union person. It's you complaining because your rights at work are violated. Yeah. Is that not how unions work in America?
No, they don't work at all in America. No.
Yeah, but let's say in this situation, looking at it, both of those people could be a part of the same union. So how would that be litigated?
So because in the VA there is it would be the employer that would have to enforce it. So in the UK, if this was in the UK and I was the person making the complaint, and I went there and I went to the union and said, look, I feel that I'm being religiously discriminated against because this sign, and no one's doing anything, the union would complain to the company itself and get the company itself to change it, or the local municipality to change it. And then the municipality goes, do what you're supposed to be doing.
As much as I want to continue this conversation, we are running out of time. But if you, our viewers, want to continue this conversation, check out our Facebook groups and fan-run Discord server. And if you'd like more of the nonprofits, you can click right here. Somewhere